Welcome to the Magical Salon, where two regular people, Amanda and James, explore mystical ideas and big questions. From books to pop culture, if it's a doorway to something deeper, we're probably into it. We're not experts, and maybe you aren't either, but that's kind of the point. Welcome back to another episode of the Magical Salon. I'm your experiencer, Amanda, and I'm joined by...
your co-experiencer, James.
Lame. You stole mine.
Well, truthfully, I do think, to be an experiencer, it's like the observer, you need somebody to interact with or observe. If you're an observer, you have to be observing something. You need somebody to observe with, though, too, you know?
If you're the observer, you're observing the experiencers, which would be us.
And that's the listener. Welcome back. This is going to be an episode on...
synchronicities. How many owls would you need to see in real life before you start thinking to yourself, what's going on here? Today's episode is all about synchronicities. How are they different from coincidences? And what do they mean in terms of spirituality? I'll kick it to you first. How many owls? Secondly, how do synchronicities differ from coincidences?
Wait, so how many owls do I have to see before I think something's up or before...
Before you think something's up, and would you be kind of uneasy if you saw a certain number, like more than one, or would you see it as a sign or a message of some kind?
Okay, I like this because I think after two, I would think something's up. But honestly, one would be kind of noteworthy because you don't see owls that often. In my mind, they're very sneaky. They're stealthy. They come out at night and I don't know, owls are cool. I mean, we've seen one owl in our house in however many years we've been in here, but it's notable to me, even that one experience, because it was right on our roof and there was snow. So it was kind of like a cool situation. So one.
I didn't expect you to say one, but that's an interesting way of thinking about it. I think for me, it would be 3. 3 is a magical number in numerology, but also 2, I think I could chalk up to a coincidence. I just happened to be really lucky and saw 2 owls that day. Like maybe I'm at a national park or something where they're more likely to be out of my normal habitat, but 3 is significant.
Yeah, it's a Holy Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
But it also begs the question, how many owls would you have to see just in your normal day-to-day life before you were kind of disturbed?
I don't know if I'd be disturbed. It's like, again, it's a matter of perspective. So you could be disturbed. I could view that as a sign that I'm like destined or some messiah now. It's like Harry Potter. I can't talk about it.
You can't talk about Harry Potter.
But he has an owl.
Get another reference point.
There's a lot of owl things. I just can't think of them.
I'm saying if I saw 30 owls in one day in my normal day-to-day life, I don't work at an owl rehabbing place. I'm not in a national park. I'm in a neighborhood in suburbia and I see 30 owls. I think I would be freaked out, I'm not gonna lie.
What was the second part to the question? Because I kind of forgot.
How do synchronicities differ from coincidences?
I asked you this question earlier and now you're making me answer it?
Yeah.
But you were the one that was asked initially.
Well, what did you learn from me?
I don't know if you had an answer. I mean, I think what it really comes down to is it's a matter of perception, because that's kind of the difference between a coincidence and a synchronicity. Like if I just bump into you on the street and it's like a friend or whatever, it'd be like, oh, what are the odds? Somebody else might have that and be like, oh my God, I was fated to meet Karen again from college. I haven't seen her in 7 years. It's the same situation, but you could just react completely differently depending on how you perceive it.
That's good. That reminds me of this lady that I used to work with. And she was a very spiritual person and she would talk about it like all the time, even on these work trips. She saw everything as being like super interconnected, but she's such a people person to the point, like if she saw someone on the street, it doesn't matter what they looked like, she would probably start talking to them and go off on these like insane side quests. And then she would see it as her having been fated to meet them and have a certain experience and stuff. It's interesting, but it's a totally different way of looking at the world. And I do agree that it is, I don't know, it begs the question, like, do we choose to believe in a certain sense?
Well, this comes down to, though, something interesting about the whole idea of, I don't know anything about quantum mechanics or whatever, quantum physics, but I will say the act of observing changes the outcome. That's been proven with like that double slit experiment that you learned in high school and forgot about, or it didn't make sense. It's like if you shoot a little laser beam, one photon, it'll like scatter, but then if you observe it, it'll be like arcing in like very specific patterns. Or I might have flipped it, but the point is the same. Observing it changes the outcome. So if that's the case, the way you are observing your reality right now with your consciousness is shaping the reality that you live in, which that definitely gets taken the wrong way, right? When I frame it like that, that's how you can see how new agey, like guru self-help scammies are like, oh, just believe harder. Are you broke, bro? You don't believe enough. I earn this because I believe in myself. It's like there's weird stuff out there where they like take it to be, oh, you can manifest everything. No, we're just saying it can influence the outcome. That's it. It's not saying anything other than that.
Okay, this is interesting. So if observing changes the experience, is that true in terms of the universe? And also, I was thinking about the movie Yes Man when you were talking, because I agree that belief isn't the only part of it. Like, we're not science deniers. But in the movie Yes Man, it's a ridiculous, absurdist concept where he has to say yes to basically anything, which if you say it like that, it sounds like some really bad stuff could happen, but he's like just doing all this like crazy stuff at this conference and whatever.
Falling in love with, isn't it Zooey Deschanel?
On a moped. But really good things start happening to him because he perceives everything as an opportunity and not as something that's like coming out to get him or something of that effect. It's a shift in his worldview, which has very real ramifications on his life. And there is just an element of belief in it, right? But then good things do happen to him. So it's a nuanced thing like anything.
Well, I mean, I think you kind of have to use analogies to describe it which I think that's the purpose of a synchronicity. Like there's meaning and context behind it, making it significant. So to take an example, your presence and aura influences a situation too. Think of personal experiences where you've been in a bad mood. And then if you meet someone, the interaction's probably not going to be as good because you're just in a bad mood already. Versus yes man guy, if you bump into that person, you're in a different mood, just base level or walking around. So when you bump into that person, the interaction is fundamentally different because you're like, hey dude, how's it going? Like, or even your body language is different. You're just acting different because you're in a mental space differently, which is not belief. It's like perception again. The observer is influencing the outcome.
I like that. That's very smart. I wrote down this smart thing as well. Do we see the world as something that can hurt us, in which we respond with fear, or something that can help us, in which we respond with wonder or curiosity?
Well, I mean, what do you think? I mean, it seems pretty obvious to me that the media and everything is definitely on the fear, doom and gloom side of things, but...
Well, they have to be, though, because that's what sells, and that's capitalism.
Well, yeah.
They don't actually care about telling stories. They care about clicks so they can stay in business.
Well,
truly. I'm not saying there aren't great journalists out there. There are great journalists, but as enterprises, as institutions.
Yeah, I mean...
What do you think about journalists?
I don't have any comments. No comment. I plead the fifth. I'm exercising my journalistic rights.
Okay, what's an example of a synchronicity that's occurred to you?
One really lame example that I kept seeing come up, but I mean, it is interesting. So let me give you this story time. Imagine it's 1890 or something. Some guy writes this book and it's about a ship. It's unsinkable. It's named after a Greek titan. It crashes into an iceberg. They don't have enough life rafts because it's an unsinkable ship. So why would you need life rafts? It's not going to sink. It's unsinkable. It's in the name, right? So a bunch of people die. This is a fiction book written like 9 years or something before the Titanic. And in the book, the boat is called the Titan. It's weird, right? Is that prophesying it?
Well, and didn't Young himself say that he saw World War I or something coming? Well, not like extremely specifically, but he saw like war and like rivers of blood or like something super dramatic.
It was super dramatic. Yeah, he saw like walls of red blood or blood red skies or something.
Yeah, honestly, I couldn't get through that book, the Red Book. I just am not going to read 300 pages of him going on and on about his dreams and random crap.
Well, it's interesting because this is the person that's credited with, I don't know, discovering the word. Is that a phrase? He coined the phrase, maybe, but it's an idea that's existed or exists in other places. So it's like he didn't come up with, I don't know, like, did he invent a new mental thing?
I mean, nobody really invents anything. It's kind of like, yeah, no, he was a psychiatrist, psychotherapist, and psychologist who founded analytical psychology.
So this is what I would say, though. So like all of the stuff I'm reading, it says that he coined the phrase, he defined it. It's a concept introduced into the human consciousness, which is a cool thought to think of. You can come up with a concept that people use to describe events, or that's an emotion or a feeling that he has described with a word.
Yeah, it's like W.E.B. Du Bois and double consciousness.
What? I don't know what that. No, I'm curious. What's that?
I'm probably going to bungle it.
Just do it. I'm sure you won't.
It's basically about how, like, for people of color living in a white society, you're like seeing yourself through the white gaze. So it kind of splits your consciousness. And it was like trying to describe that feeling. And he coined that term. And that's just a theory. I mean, not obviously that common concept, but like people know about it.
I would just like to say it's just kind of funny because it's not really that he invented like synchronicities have existed as an event that people experienced. It's something anybody can experience it. It's like a human experience. There's nothing external. Like you can't buy something that gives you a synchronicity. It has to happen through you. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, that's why they always say money can't buy happiness, is because you can't buy the intangible things that are actually the most meaningful. And those are the things that you're lacking. And thus you keep seeking and searching and you are unfulfilled and you can't find it. But of course, like for the everyday normal person, when people say that, it's like, wow, that's like extremely tone deaf, because it's like, just imagine like how free and like just safe you would feel, like not having to worry about basic things.
It's interesting to me because Carl Jung, so I also didn't finish the Red Book, Liber Novice, however you say that. But interestingly about that, we've not read like any of his actual academic literature, which is hilarious because, I mean, I don't even know if he's that academic. It's probably like bullshit anyways.
He's not. That's what I'm saying. He and Freud were like
Freud is completely
colleagues.
discredited.
That's what I'm saying though. Like they're like, I think a lot of Jung's stuff has been discredited too. They're kind of in that age where science and philosophy was still kind of esoteric. And so they're able to just make up shit though too. And I don't know. This is probably super offensive.
I mean, it's probably super offensive to like the academia, but it's like, I don't give a shit. They're just making up terms to define bullshit anyway. It's like some random guy thought people had penis envy, so now that's a thing that defines me by being a man. Like, what?
Well, and that's why I think a lot of people are afraid of going for like mental health appointments. They're afraid of therapy. That's like the whole idea of a shrink. They're afraid ideas implanted in their mind that will be insidious in some way. I think that's what people are afraid of. And I kind of get it when you have people like Freud, because some of the stuff he says is just insane and it doesn't have any basis in reality. So you're just forcing your crazy idea upon me as if it's fact. And that's also why institutions can be very insidious. But I think that's also true. That disturbing area, that gray area that you can get into, is true in like this magic space, right?
But again, like, is it real or not? I don't know. But the idea though that is cool to me about it, they had a bit more magic in their science then, which looks silly now. Looking back, it's like, what the hell were they doing? At the same time, it was more freeing though, because they could truly just like make random shit up. I don't know.
It is actually really funny because it's like the person that invents like penicillin also like was burning frog liver to try and get the Philosopher's Stone. I just defaced his name. I don't think he did that. But the point is that I'm sure there was somebody that did something on a similarly crazy level.
They do that now, though. They still do insane stuff. I was going to say, so Jung, he wrote that book, Liber Novus, because like he thought he was going insane at one point. And he was like chronicling it in this notebook that was like posthumously released. His family found his diary basically, which is the red book on our shelf. And then they like somehow got it published or whatever because they wanted to preserve the art. But it's like, obviously they just wanted to make money. Anyways, it's like his diary after he's dead of him thinking he's losing his mind. And he's like, I'm confident I've not lost my mind. And in fact, I'm on a great inner pursuit. The anima, the animus within.
He's Austrian, not British. Don't even try. Yeah, I think that's really messed up. And this gets back to one of my favorite things to talk about is the connection between, I don't know, they're just exploiting at that point. He literally, it's kind of like Franz Kafka basically said to his agent or some dude, he was like, just burn all my stuff. I don't want, like, when I die, just burn it all. And then the guy just like published all of it. It's like, you're just like, that's horrible. I would be like, if somebody took my personal diaries, including stuff that I wrote when I was like 10 years old, like imagine the stuff you're writing when you're 10 years old and they like publish that for like the world to see when I'm dead. I mean, that's just kind of just inconsiderate.
I don't think that has anything to do with synchronicities, but I think it's interesting because it's like a consciousness though is really what they're going to, that's what they're trying to study, because it's like if you are of true note in the world, or if your idea, like Freud's idea for better or worse, influences this world still. So does Jung's. People believe in synchronicities and all this other stuff. And now people are like so interested in with the idea that they came up with. They're like, I need to know what formed that consciousness. Like, what did they do so then I can see if I'm similar to them? Like, oh, as a child, they were like doing this and that. Interesting. Oh, I'm not that weird.
Yeah, it's interesting also just because like language is adaptable. It's trying to capture ideas and experiences. English is really adaptable. Like they always add words and stuff, but not all languages are like that. But concepts often transcend language, right? Especially like in Greek, or not Greek, like Latin stuff. Even just think about like law, habeas corpus, that transcends languages. It's interesting though.
Well, on the concept of language though, like I've been reading some more of these like Qigong books, which like it originates in China. So I've been like, I don't know any Chinese. I know nothing about Chinese. Okay. That's my disclaimer. But our language is very Western centric. You're using the Latin as the example. Some of these ancient Chinese texts are literally like, you can still read it because it's the same character. You're basically reading the book in the language. The Bible is a translation of a translation of a translation 50 times. That isn't though. Like their language is fundamentally different. Like they've had a concept that means the concept for like 3,000 years. It's a different level of like reality that you're all kind of functioning on.
But is that true? Because I thought Chinese was similar to English in that Old English would be difficult to understand in modern times because it has adapted, even if it's also stayed the same in many ways. And I thought Chinese was also kind of like that.
This is true. Texts from the last 2,000 years are largely accessible to those with a secondary education in China. That's what I'm saying. You could be reading whatever the Chinese Bible, like maybe the Tao Te Ching, I don't know, but like in the actual language, which is crazy to think about.
That's amazing. That would be so cool.
That's what I'm saying. Their culture, things like that you never consider, right? You know what the idea is. And like, then it's like, yeah, but like, what if you just didn't even look at the idea the same way? Like you're just operating in a slightly different, like you're perceiving the same thing, but you're structured completely differently. Like our language is adaptable. It does change all the time, but that causes confusion, right? And trickery and
trickery.
There is though. There's a lot of scammy shit out there.
Well, I think it's also that language shapes the way that you think. And I do think if you speak more than one language or you know more than one language, you can think in different ways. in a way that someone that only knows one, because I even think me learning French is helping me perceive things differently. And there are some concepts like in French, just like any language, that don't directly translate. And I'm excited to read L'étranger by Camus because I read it in English and liked it. And it's supposed to be like pretty accessible for like someone of my level.
Which that is The Stranger, though, in case you're not French speaking.
Yeah, I should have said that. And nobody will be, but
They might be, but we have a lot of French listeners, I've heard.
shout out to the French. I saw this video and this lady was talking about how language does shape your thought. And in English, you say, I am depressed. But in other languages, it translates more to depression is passing through me. And that's a completely different way of perceiving any like emotional or mental state. And I've been thinking about that and trying to remember that when I've been like depressed and stuff. And I do think that helps. It's kind of like a mental shift for me.
Well, okay, yes, because again, I've been reading these books and some of them talk about acupuncture points or meridians. This is actual like traditional Chinese medicine is a thing that they still practice that is also really old.
Do you have anything else on synchronicities, Stad? Any other synchronicities that come to mind for you?
The obvious one for us, even how we met technically, could be synchronous because we lived 3 doors down in the dorm.
Here without you, baby.
How do we not do that as our first dance? It was right there. Or is that a depressing song, maybe? It would be depressing.
Isn't it a breakup song or something? I don't know. I don't listen to lyrics.
We don't care about it that
no,
much.
but it's interesting.
We didn't pick it for a reason. It's not that good of a song.
It is a good song.
Not that good of a song.
So this is similar to what you said. Have you heard of the red string theory?
I believe so, but please refresh my mind for the viewers as well.
It's an East Asian belief originating from Chinese mythology that an invisible, unbreakable red cord ties together those destined to meet, regardless of time, place, or circumstance. That's kind of a synchronicity. At least you're choosing to believe it that way. And it's mostly used for romantic relationships, but I think it could really just be any deep connection you form.
I'm just now thinking, did Jung not just rip off and redefine like a religious revelation, a spiritual revelation, when people would just be like walking down the street and then they'd be like, holy I saw a dove and now I know my life's purpose is to go feed the poor. And it's the same idea. People have always done this, like where they've had this random, profoundly touching, it's super significant and it makes no sense to anybody else. And they probably can't even describe it.
I mean, he didn't invent the concept. He just coined the phrase. So in some ways, I think to say that he put it in the human consciousness isn't true, because on the one hand he did, because some people might not have ever come into contact with it without him sort of popularizing it. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. But I don't know, I feel like all of those like scientist types were just stealing stuff that other people did and calling it something new. And
there's certainly some truth in that, because I mean, the most classic example is drugs. Like the mushrooms, like people went to like these different countries and they just started, basically it was this small village and some random scientist goes there just like, holy shit, you can get on these drugs. And then everybody goes there, they lock the whole village up, steal the plant, harvest it, everybody's tripping balls. This is like a sacred, pure thing to them that's like very carefully cultured and grown and used, and then they're just snorting it, smoking it, doing like all kinds of, I don't know, it's just like, that's the West though. That's these guys. They're doing that with we even did an episode on mind control. You can hypnotize it, you can brainwash people to some extent. You are becoming vulnerable when you do that, this type of therapy. And in fact, Jung's therapy, which is why I was like, is this even discredited, because it's like Jungian analysis, which is basically just like creative imagination with you and your client. And I don't even think they call it your client at that point, because it's like kind of BS. And you can only get the degree if you go to the Jungian Institute in like Zurich, Switzerland.
are you shitting me?
No, I'm not shitting you. I don't know how to do Austrian. No, I'm not though.
Wait,
I'm pretty sure that's true.
I thought, wait, so it's been debunked, Jungian, whatever. It's like archetypes. He so-called invented archetypes too. Like, dude, you didn't invent that either. What the hell? I'm actually very mad about this.
It does require you to have a PhD or master's. No, it says you must complete a multi-year certified program. It does seem Scientology still exists, and that's garbage too. So like, just because it exists still doesn't mean it's real, right? That's the problem. And that's what I think.
Scientology is just a corporate, like, it's just...
Okay, the religion is invented by a sci-fi writer. I'm sorry, that's all I have to say.
Is it a good story?
I don't know. I'm not going to read Battlefield Earth.
I mean, the only people that are in Scientology are rich people. So I don't see how that's a real religion.
Apparently, they're very litigious.
Yeah, because they're rich.
Regardless, that is kind of what reminds me of, if you think of the value of a word staying steady throughout time. In Asia, if you think of like the Eastern philosophy, or like the Eastern mind versus Western mind, or your way of perceiving the world, like you can perceive it left or right, East versus West, as a mental shift. They are the like shame as a concept, cuss word. Words used to be a bit more intentional with them. Like you couldn't just say all of the crazy stuff that people do nowadays. I feel like you had to be more reserved at a certain point.
What are you talking about? You're sounding like a boomer. Are you saying language is sacred and we shouldn't say?
To an extent, yes, because I think that we say it too often as a society, which dilutes it. And
so you're saying we only have so many to give?
So that gives a new definition to the phrase "I'm all out of to give." You could hit a limit. Technically, you could make that right now. That could be the last time I've ever done that. That could have been my true last one.
Still works. I think when I was younger and I had synchronicities.
Younger. Yeah, we forgot to mention Carl Gustav Jung, C.G. Jung. It's Jung. That's how you spell this guy's name.
Why
I think
is that
that's
notable?
relevant. Because if you're listening and you didn't know what his name was,
well, it's going to be in the show notes.
Oh, I don't know if people look at the show notes.
They will now.
Yeah, look at the show notes. They take a long time.
When I was younger, most often when a synchronicity happened and I noticed it, it was me learning about some obscure thing. And then I'd be in the car with my parents and they would talk about it on the radio, like talk radio, or it would show up in the TV show that I was watching that evening. It was just like small moments. They felt magical and they felt like almost like the universe was like winking at me.
Well, was it today or yesterday? I called my mom and she picked up and was like, oh, I knew you were going to call, or I had a feeling you were going to call. So I was just getting my phone, because like she answered like instantly. But that's kind of a synchronicity, isn't it? Or maybe it's like clairvoyant or something, where you're like perceiving something that's about to happen.
This is from the AI generated information about Jung. So the idea behind the synchronicity is to describe events that occur together in time. From the Greek roots syn, together, and chronos, time, together time. I just feel like it's interesting because two things are happening simultaneously, very close in time and proximity, but you establish the connection.
It's the two become the one, the yin to the yang. We are the eye of Brahman.
Yeah, we should probably call it.
All right. Well, I think we might have lost some steam at the end, or actually just we lost the tracks.
We went off the tracks, but I think it was still enjoyable.
I enjoyed the production of it.
See you next week on the Magical Salon.
Let this be your weekly synchronicity, chance to connect through space and time to the magical world.
See ya.